Hey class, how you doing? It's me again, Mr. Pittard. Hey, now let's talk about this. We're talking about Hammurabi's Code today, and it's a complicated subject, but we did pull a lot out of it. When you're first just talk about when we're reading something from the past, like an ancient document, what you need to pull from that document is what it says about that ancient society, like we did today in class. You remember we went through every one of those laws under that example, and we didn't necessarily look at the punishments, but we pulled out what it told us about society. And we learned some key things today. All right, some really important things. And one of the important things we learned today was that Hammurabi's code protected property. And Hammurabi, realized from the Mesopotamians realized from early on that securing personal property makes a society grow. Securing personal property makes you accumulate wealth. Securing personal property helps you to build up things. And so by building up things, it makes your society successful. It makes it wealthy. Without wealth, a society cannot exist, or cannot exist well, or cannot be powerful. So Hammurabi's Code, some of the laws we reviewed, went to great lengths to protect property. They made very strenuous laws that protected property. And this is important to note because a lot of the laws we looked at protected. The second big area of Hammurabi Code today, and we pulled out some things, was family. Hammurabi's Code was a patriarchal society where men basically ran the society. And in the family situation, by reading the laws, it was the men who owned the property. Technically, they owned the children and the wife. Children could not own property. We saw children could not transfer property. Neither could a wife. Okay, so Hammurabi's Code allows us to see the role of men and women. It was a patriarchal society, like I said. Men ran the society. Okay, now the role of women was interesting. They didn't have many rights, but their labor was very valued. And you can tell this by taking a look at how they treated. I mean, if a woman got sick, you could replace a man could get remarried, and the woman would, he still had to take care of the woman. Why would they allow, you ask yourself a question, why would they allow a man to remarry while his wife's sick? Well, could the wife perform labor while she's sick? No, she couldn't. She couldn't work around the house. She couldn't do other things. She couldn't garden. She couldn't care for the kids. She couldn't cook. She couldn't do other economic activities. So in that age, looking through their eyes, they allowed the husbands to remarry, and thereby keeping the economic side of the house going, thereby keeping the financial structure of the house going, keeping the financial structure of the family going. And so when you take a look at the laws, even though women didn't have very many rights, they were certainly valued for their labor and their economic contributions to the family structure. Now, also in examining the Hammurabi's Code, we notice a social structure start developed. We noticed that people weren't treated the same in the law. We saw that the higher you were up on the social ladder, the more you were worth. Because if you got injured and you were from a freeman class or above, you got paid 1 gold mina. But if you were a freed person or below, you got 10 shekels, 5 shekels. This was even true for other things like doctor services. We looked at the law and we saw that the social structure determined the value that the patient could pay. For instance, if he was freeman or above, he paid 10 shekels. But below the freeman below the freeborn I got my classes mixed up. If he was above the freed man, he was freeman and above, he paid about 10 shekels. Freedmen and below paid less than 10 shekels. So social status determined the value of the person, how much they were rewarded if they were hurt or damaged in a fight, whether you could interact with that person or not. We saw this by examining Hammurabi's code today. We also saw that Hammurabi had a command economy. When you look at Hammurabi's code, he set the price on how much you could pay a sailor. He set the price of how much you could pay a doctor. And this is amazing because it's a very early example of a command economy. And also, we also saw sort of the social structure develop. We saw in the social structure, as we talked today, they had a bottom class of slaves. Above the bottom class of slaves, they had a class of freed people, freedmen. And then above the freedmen, they had freeborn. Above the freeborn, probably you had merchants. Above the merchants, you would have the governmental officials. Above the governmental officials, you probably have royalty, then the king. Finally, we saw that Hammurabi Code emphasized the social structure by punishing people who broke this social structure. If you hit somebody above you, then you had a pretty stiff punishment. You got beat 60 times with a whip, and that's pretty tough. The reason why they did this is because it was the social structure that was the fabric of their society. And I'm going to type some of this up, guys. You guys actually we had a really good discussion today. And I was proud of how all of you did. I had some great questions today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about the DBQ. You'll probably be working on that most of the day. And, hey, thank you for a great day, and I'll see you guys later.